Kuzuzangpo and a very warm welcome to BBS. I'm Sonam Rinchen. In today's program, BBS will bring you a discussion on the public debt. The issue was discussed and deliberated in the National Assembly. And to further discuss on the issue, I'm joined by the Trade and Economic Affairs Minister, Lekey Dorji. And also in the studio, I'm joined by the Member of Parliament from Panbang Constituency, MP Dorji Wangdi. Thank you for joining us on this program. Let me begin with Lekey Dorji. There are concerns raised with regard to the public debt. How worried is the government?
Well, first of all, I'd like to thank BBS for inviting us to clarify on this public concern. And I think, to be very frank, as the Economic Affairs Minister, the government is not really worried about the public debt that we are in. We have to actually understand that while we think of loans, public loans, there are bad public loans, good public loans. I think here if you basically try to differ into two, like one is the hydro loans and non-hydro loans. Yes. Hydro loans is self-liquidating in the sense that this is a project loan. This is a loan based on a project proposal, and it's self-liquidating. Because and when you think of non-hydro loans, this government has actually reduced non-hydro loans from roughly about 41 billion at the end of 10th five-year plan to until March 2017, it has been reduced to about 34.5. Yes. So it has reduced by about 6.5. So we are not really worried about the loan situation we are in.
Yes, thank you. Let me come to MP Dorji Wangdi. Is Bhutan heading towards debt crisis? Should Bhutan worry about it?
Thank you, Sonam. Well, this is a very one of the most debated topic, if not actually the most debated one since, as we all know, 2013. A lot of debates have taken place, and a lot of, I should say, misgivings also. Yes. Have taken place in this area. Now, before I go to answering your question, whether it's a matter of concern or not, we have to look at the figures. Yes. So, just want to make the figures very clear. At the end of the 9th five-year plan, which is at the beginning of the first government, elected government, the total debt was 33 billion. And after 5 years, at the end of the first government's tenure, the total debt went to 101 billion, which is an increase of around 68 billion in the span of 5 years. Now, PDP government has been now almost 4 years. So now, as of now, the debt has reached 160 billion. But we already know the total loan that the present government is going to contract in the span of 5 years from the latest finance report. So at the end of the present government, the PDP government's tenure, the total loan is going to be around 179 billion. So which means in the span of 5 years of the second government, the incremental loan is going to be around 78 billion. So 68 billion during 5 years of DPT's tenure and 78 billion incremental in PDP's tenure. Now, I think people should reflect on the debates taken place and the acquisitions made by PDP that DPT had taken excessive loan and all these things. So ideally, if the PDP was, concerned about the loan, they should not have taken at all any loan. But the reality shows that actually the total amount of loan is going to be far more than what we have taken in our tenure. So I think this is a very important point to be noted. The second issue is on this issue, all the time the discussion has been that it is the non-hydropower loan that DPT had contracted that they are concerned. No? So now you have to look into the nature of the non-hydropower loan. So where And in what sector we have taken non-hydropower loan? One, we have taken in the rural electrification around 4.4 billion. And through that, we have electrified around 44,000 households in the span of 5 years. The second area where we have taken loan is in the roads. And it's around 2.9 billion loan. And you know how many kilometers? Over 5,000 kilometers of road have been constructed in our tenure, connecting all the nook and corner of the country. So this was a huge investment that we have made, because if you are talking of uplifting the livelihood of the people, the well-being of the people, it is extremely important, because the road connectivity, road infrastructure is actually the mother of all development. So I think this is a very, very sensible, very useful investment that we have made. The third area where we have invested from the non-hydro loan is in the area of telecommunication. You know that during our tenure, actually within the third year of our tenure, we have connected almost all the countries, almost all the people. As of today, just alone the mobile phone, 658,000 mobile phone connectivity. Let aside the other. Nowadays, as I was explaining in the parliament, government is every day inaugurating. Today, Tengi Lempo is seen inaugurating fuel payment system through. How did it become possible? Because we laid the foundation for all the e-governance, online payments. So this is also a very, very, very extremely useful investment we have made. So basically what I'm trying to say is, when you are talking of the loan, one is the hydropower. Hydropower, as Lempo just explained, yes, we all know, is self-liquidating. It is one of the best investments Bhutan can make. If you don't invest in hydropower, we don't have other areas where we can really get best rate of return. Other area is one non-hydro areas. These are all the foundation for development. Yes. So if you say, have we contracted a bad loan? I don't think so. So from that point of view, even if today the debt to GDP ratio is 113%, basically at the end of the day, to answer your question, looking at the nature of the debt, I don't think we should be too worried, because this is 81% of the loan is for the hydropower. Yes. And those we have contracted for non-hydropower, as I explained, were for the very, very important sector which lays the foundation for development, for the well-being of the people. And these are being actually paid. Like even telecom loan is actually almost self-liquidating, because we are getting huge tax, huge return from the telecommunication.
Yes. The current debt has also been accumulated from the previous government, right, I believe. And should the country prosper, government will have to avail loans, even if public debt accumulated over the years seems alarming. Don't you think that the government will have to borrow or seek grant or assistance for the developmental activities, even if you have huge debt?
No, I think what we have to really note is that if loans are for future, that if loans can give, investment from loans can give leverage, yes, in terms of economic growth, propelling the economic growth, then those loans and the debt are actually very good loans. Yes. So I don't think we should be worried about contracting such debts. But the experiences in other countries is that in the name of public benefit, in the name of development for people, the politicians, the government take loans which are very bad. Yes. And sometimes it is funneled to some political gains. Yes. And those things are what we should be wary of. And as of today, neither the past government, definitely I should also be very honest.
Yes.
The present government had not contracted any loan unreasonable,
Yes.
irresponsible loan,
Yes.
I should say. And now, of course, on the directive, on the insistence of the parliament, the government has come up with the debt management policy. So we are making, I think, good headway.
Limpulekila. People are raising concern, saying that we are putting all eggs in one basket. So now my question is, apart from investing in hydropower projects, don't you think it is high time to explore other avenues and activities to diversify?
Okay, thank you. Thank you. I think that's a very good question, because this is the criticism that Bhutan has been receiving, that we are doing all our economic activities are on hydropower, putting too much all of eggs in the hydropower, and then they have also said Dutch disease, where that's how you'll suffer. But if you look at, if you really look at the hydropower potential, we have roughly about 30,000 megawatt of hydropower potential, out of which 23,675 megawatt has been proven to be economically viable projects. And currently, since 1974, that is when we first signed the bilateral agreement in 1974, but we were able to start only in 1978. So the first Chukha Hydropower Corporation was commissioned in 1988. That's only about 334 megawatt. Since then, we built 1,200 Tala hydropower. Then we went to build 60 megawatt Kurichu. Then we went to build 44 megawatt Basuchu upper stage and lower stage. Then the latest one we built, which is commissioned sometime in 2013, is Takachu. So we have a total of only 1,614 megawatt as of now. And out of this, we actually export 3/4 of our hydropower potential to India, we know right now. And that is actually bringing almost 13 to 14 billion revenue to us. And currently, we are building 5 hydropower projects, Puna Sangchu 1, Puna Sangchu 2, Mangdichu, which all these 3 started in 2008 and 2010. And then in 2014 we started 2 more projects, 600 megawatt Kolongchu and 118 megawatt Nikachu. Once we complete all those 5 projects, we will have added another 3,658 megawatt. If you add this, maybe by the time we complete all those projects, we will have roughly built about 5,000 megawatt. And I think that is a big achievement. And currently, if you look at what percentage of our economically viable hydropower projects have we built, it's just about 5%. And although it is, we are worried that we should not put all our eggs, but then we don't have other eggs. But anyway, in the 12th five-year plan, the government's impetus is to diversify economy. Our Ministry of Economic Affairs has been given that mandate to look at economic diversification and how to enhance productivity. So through that actually we are trying to see how could we diversify economy. Of course, one obvious thing is we know that our Prime Minister has identified 5 jewels of economy. One, of course, is the hydropower, because that is something that we have potential. The way we are situated, I think we can build hydropower projects at very minimal cost. Another thing is the tourism. I think since 1974, His Majesty the Duke Gyalpo Duge Shiba has come up with this unique policy of high value, low impact tourism. And we still follow that because it's working. And Bhutan has been sold as a high destination, where we have exotic. I mean, it's something very exotic. I'm sure, you must, when you travel outside, people just look at us and say, oh, very happy country, oh, we like King Jimmy. All those, I think this is something very unique. So we want to base our economy, not just on hydropower, so on tourism, cottage and small industries, and then how we explore our mineral resources, and our agriculture, because no matter, even if the country has gold and silver and diamond, we cannot live on those, we cannot eat those. We need to have good organic vegetables, organic chilies, all those things. So I think government is actually trying to diversify, and one of the ways of diversify economy, actually we are building 756 acres industrial park in Chikmiling, where we have 87 plots, 2 acres each for agro-based industries. We have 38 acres, 38 plots, each 4 acres each for wood-based industries. We have another 28 plots, 6 acres each for doing those mineral-based industries. And then similarly, we have 350 acres industrial park that we are building in Samsi Damdum. We are building 155 acres industrial park in Motanga Samruzongkar, and then a smaller one, 110 acres industrial park in Mongar Bongdima. So I think in a way, although we consider hydropower as a very important aspect of economy, we also diversify into other areas like industries, cottage and small industries, agriculture, then mineral-based industries. And of course, the other thing that we also have to know is, I think government, like our MP from Panbang has stated, I think we have been very prudent, because government is here, irrespective of whichever government comes. You are here for 5 years, but this country, for which generations of kings of Bhutan and our forefathers have worked too hard, we cannot just destroy it. I think we have to. I think government has been responsible. And this government will be extra prudent to ensure that we don't go astray towards that line. So diversifying our economy is one very important planning that we are carrying forward in the 12th five-year plan.
Thank you. Debt pertaining to hydropower projects, both our panelists agree that it is self-liquidating. Now, what do you think about the debt related to non-hydropower projects?
Well, in the non-hydropower projects, I think let us be frank, even those non-hydro loans that the government has taken, previous government or whatever, has been mostly from very subsidized loans. Sometimes there are no interest on them. It's a zero interest, but then the main risk there is it may be 0%. We are taking in, say, Austrian money, or you're taking Australian dollars or US dollars. But then when they change the exchange rate, I think that is what kills us. So in the hydropower, like in non-hydropower, like I said, during the start of the 10th five-year plan, a non-hydro loan was about 11 billion. Which ballooned to 41 billion at the end of 10th five-year plan. So, which in terms of percentage, that is 266%. That is what we said, we were worrying about that. And another loan during the government's time, I'm not trying to blame them, but they had, during the first elected government's time, we had a big issue with the rupee crisis. Rupee crisis. So that's why government had to freeze the loans. The loans were frozen for almost 2 years. Then import of alcohol, import of furniture, many things were banned. And then we had rupee, all those things. So to solve the rupee problem, what the government did is they took overdraft from Government of India credit line. It increased from 3 billion before to 6 billion to 10 billion. They were at 5% interest. And then the government also took 10 billion overdraft from State Bank of India at 10% interest. And another 2.5 billion at 11.5% from Punjab Bank. And at that time, when I worked out, the interest alone was coming to about 45 lakhs per day, not in real term, in rupees. And what were we using that money for? It is basically for consumption purpose, so that we can buy oil, we can buy food items, we can buy meat. I mean, those loans, I would say those are bad loans. It was not to build roads. So I think in non-hydropower right now, out of 41 billion, we have reduced that to 34.5 billion. And if you look at that, we can actually distinctly put into 3 categories. One is, of course, the non-hydro loans taken for development purpose, like building bridges, schools, roads. That is only about 21 billion. And then the others were the project loans. BPC took maybe about 4 billion for the rural electrification. Telecom had about 26 million, and then Bhutan hydropower service that we have in Gelifu about 349 billion. So that was about 6 billion. And then we had some the loans which the central government took, central bank took. When you add that up, it's 34.5 billion. But if you look at the others, they were mostly for loans taken by the government entities. So I think while we should be, we feel that we should be worried. So government was worried. So that's why we came up with this public debt policy, yes, which has distinct features. It clearly says, I think it's very important. I think government was concerned, and of course we have clear features there on threshold, the ceiling. You're putting ceiling on how much loan the government should take. So we said there are three things. First is threshold for external debt. It says, I'll read because it's very important. The annual debt service obligations of total external debt shall not exceed 25% of total export of goods and services. So you're basically putting a ceiling on how much annual debt service. That's when you pay your loan. It should not exceed 25% of the total worth of goods and services that you sell. That's very important. Now, then you look at non-hydro debt. Non-hydro debt says that non-hydro debt should not exceed 35% of GDP over the 5-year period. Very important, I think. Then another one, general government debt service shall not exceed 22% of domestic revenue in any given financial year. Very important. Then another one I'll say, then on the threshold for hydropower, there also we have very distinct and important features. It says the debt equity ratio shall be 70-30. What that means is the equity portion should minimum be 30%, debt can only be 70% yes, of the total cost. Another important one here is in any given year, the ratio of hydro debt service to hydropower export. Because when you do that hydro, I think I was saying we don't have to worry because we have a ready market, and we have, before we actually build, we have those agreements that we sign between the two countries, and then how we pay, we also have power purchasing agreement, and then all the financing is actually done by the donor that has. I don't think we will get any better than this kind of loan. So it says that in any given year, the ratio of hydro debt service to hydropower export revenue shall be maintained within 40%. So this policy actually takes care of many of the concerns, I think.
Thank you. Dorji Wangdi respond what the minister said.
Number one, I think on the non-hydro, which I have already explained, what we have to understand is that the most important, the fundamental role of the government is to create a basic infrastructure so that the development takes on its own. Yes. So that's why for non-hydropower, where we have invested is largely on the networking of the network of roads connecting all nook and corner of countries with over almost around 8,000 kilometers of road. Yes. So that's where it has gone. Second is the telecommunication, which I said. These days we are talking of e-governance online, and of course leave aside over 658,000 mobile connections. This is all possible because we made that investment. And of course third one is on the rural electrification, over 44,000. So 1,000 households provided with electricity. So from the nature of investment you can make for yourself, whether it was a good or bad investment. I think it is a absolutely huge, excellent investment we have made for the future. The second thing is on the hydropower. The hydropower, I think the maximum of the loan the current government is taking is on the hydropower. Thanks that we started 5 hydropower projects, the present government could not start even a single. So I think we did, it is that we started these 5 hydropower projects. So otherwise we would have been a serious problem. The present government has initiated Kolongchu and it has not made any headway. Now on the top of that, the current government has not made any major investment for the future income generation, other than continuing the hydropower, which they are doing quite well. Nothing. So now on the top of that, in fact, they are making very bad investments. For example, a helicopter. the money that we invested for networking, providing telecommunication network for the whole country, and buying 2 helicopters is almost equal, I should say. So people should make judgment which is the better one. I don't say helicopter is all bad. We need it, but we need to prioritize. And on the rupee, there are 2 things to be clarified. Yes, just only on the rupee. Yes. Now rupee, one, because of the excessive growth. It was not because of economic problem, because during DPT's time, the average growth rate is around 8%. In some years, the GDP growth rate was economic growth rate was almost over 12%. Yes. In the current government's tenure, the average growth rate is at the moment around 5%, 5 to 6%. It's far low. Yes. So if you don't do anything, you don't face problem. Yes. Second thing is, they don't have rupee problem because they are selling dollars all the time. This is what they have been saying. We sold in 5 years tenure only 3 times, whereas this government is selling dollar all the time. So that's why if you look at the dollar reserve, during our tenure, despite selling $460 million, the total incremental increment in the dollar reserve has gone by 223 million.
Thank you.
And
let him.
Just the last point. So, as of now, the dollar reserve is actually very low. It has increased only by 42%. So, this is because, and they didn't pay rupee debt from any new project investment they have made. It is all from the income that we have invested, projects that we have invested that is generating the income.
In 2 minutes, please respond to that. No major investment for future generation with regard to helicopter and selling dollars. In 2 minutes, please.
Okay, thank you.
Totally going out of time.
Okay. So I think we all know currently government is putting roughly about 7.5 billion to expand double laning of the northern east-west highway. This, I think, is going to be a very important infrastructure, not only, for all of us, because I think that's going to be economic lifeline. Instead of driving for 2 days from Thimphu to 555 kilometers, if you can do it in 10, 11 hours, just imagine, And then this is going to be a lifeline, and that will link to the district roads. And then we are also spending almost 4 to 5 billion. I can't give the exact figure, but I can say approximately 4 to 5 billion on blacktopping of the GC roads, Geo Center road. If you believe that these are not important, then I don't know what's important, because I think this is, and in helicopter, if you look at helicopter, I think helicopter is run as a corporate company, and last year they declared a profit of about 45 million, I think. And because when the government uses, government pays for it, but then one very important thing, I think it has benefited. I don't know. Personally, I feel that this helicopter has made a lot of difference for our communities in rural places. People who...
How about the investment for future generation? Last.
No, let me explain the helicopter, because those things I think I clearly explain. Helicopter, I think, because I think it's benefiting our communities. Tell it to somebody who is just dying. You can't say you are poor, you can't have it. Because, how much of money do you put in a person's life? Is it 5 million? Because you are poor, okay, you are worth 5 lakhs. Okay, you are rich, you are worth about $50 million. You can't say this. I think this government, I personally think that it has benefited the community. I know a lot of people who have actually criticized this helicopter. One particular person, I'll not name him, but he came to us and he cried and he said, if it was not for helicopter, I would have died. I would not have been here. Yes. I think helicopter has more of difference. Yes. Now, please give me one more minute, because I think we have to respond, because he said that during the DPT's time, that the economic growth was about 8%. I don't know what he's talking about, because these figures don't lie. When we took over, the economic growth rate was only 2.06%, the lowest in the history. And since then, it has grown from 2014 5.7% to 6.8% to 6.8%.
Thank you so much. I'm so sorry, I'm totally running out of time. And thank you so much. You had a very difficult time. I would like to thank both the panelists here for being here on this to talk on this very important issue. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
And thank you for watching.
Thank you.